You're listening to Chasing Prophecy Radio, where we discuss anything and everything beyond the scope of normal. On UPRN Talk Radio FM 107.7 in New Orleans and FM 105.3 in Mississippi.
If it's unexplainable, we're talking about it.
Whether you're a believer or a skeptic,
We cover everything where the unknown becomes the known.
And now, here's your host, Jenny Nicasio.
Welcome to Chasing Prophecy on FM 107.7 in New Orleans and 105.3 in Henderson Park. I keep saying Park. I don't know why. Mississippi, where we explore the unknown and discuss the mysteries that surround us and anything beyond the scope of normal. I'm your host, Jenny Nicasio. Tonight, I'm excited to welcome Tom Cahue. I keep saying his name wrong. Sorry. Paranormal and supernatural enthusiast. And we'll get him to say his last name for us because we need to do that. I need to go to a speech therapist. Yes. An accomplished creative in the entertainment industry with a rich background in paranormal societies, UFO meetups, and notable credits in film and television. Tom brings a unique blend of eerie insights and behind the scenes knowledge. Join us as we explore the unexplained and the journey to a creative success with Tom. And don't miss this captivating conversation. So, before I forget, I have something in my eye. Oh, it's going to be one of those nights. Make sure you comment and share the link. And just remember, we're all over on 8 different platforms, including FM 107.7 in New Orleans and 105.3 in Henderson Point, Mississippi. And we can be heard all the way down to Florida now, so which is really cool. And this episode is sponsored by the United Public Radio. And make sure you check out all the videos and read the archives on SoundCloud and across all the different radio platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And if you have anything unusual happening in your life, anything paranormal, please drop me a link. I'd love to have you on this show to discuss it. And if you're a fan of Coast to Coast or Art Bell, and anything like that, and you wanted to check us out and you think we would be a great fit for a friend or a family member, make sure you share the link. And remember, we're on Chasing Prophecy on Facebook, YouTube, and the United UFO Radio on Facebook, Instagram. And I know they have Roku, but I haven't been doing Roku a lot, but you can check out all the different shows on there too. And don't forget to catch Sean Kelly into the night after this. He used to be my co-host. So just make sure you check it out. And remember to like us and share us and chat. And if you want to post a comment for Tom or a question, we'll bring it up on the screen. So don't be shy. So we're going to go ahead and get in and bring us our fabulous guest on. And I just want to make sure I have his information in front of me. Just give me 1 second because my computer is running slow and I use my notes on my computer. Okie doke. Okay. So he also has a podcast and I'm going to get to that. But he also has a meetup, a UFO meetup. So that's really cool. And he is a screenplay writer and he's an author and he's in IT. So let me go ahead and bring him over so he can tell you more about it because my computer's being goofy as usual, Tom. So sorry about that, Tom. My computer's going crazy as usual. Oh, so Tom, well, you're in IT, so you should understand that. We're going to get to that. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the platform. And remember, guys, usually it starts out slow because for some reason, no one gets server notifications until we're 10 minutes into it. So tell us about yourself and what got you into the paranormal. And I like your little guy back there. I like him.
One of my co-hosts, that's Cassandra. So
she's pretty sexy. I like her. Okay.
She
Go ahead.
So, yes, thank you so much. I
No,
appreciate it.
I thought you said that was Cassandra. That's not your co-host.
No, I have another co-host. One
I
of them.
thought
That's
you were being
Cassandra.
funny. I
No,
go,
that is Cassandra. Yeah. No, the woman, the myth, the legend. So thank you, Jenny, so much for having me on. I really appreciate this, and I geek out every time I get to talk about something spooky, crazy, scary,
good.
weird, odd, you name it. I'm not a thesaurus, but I could go on and on. So yes. So first off, last name Cahue. Tom Cahue is that's my
Hi, Tom
name.
Callway.
Yep, there
Okay,
you
I
go.
got it.
Perfect.
There I
Just
got
like
it. Callway.
Caway. Like think of it that way. Look, I've been through school. I've been through public school. I'm Cahue, so that's fine. I answer to either one. I've been called a lot worse. So yes. What got me into the paranormal? So let's start there because
Yes,
we
definitely.
start there to get to here. I guess the best way I can put it, Jenny, is it was talked about in my home, so it wasn't like, oh, that's weird, don't talk about that. You know what I mean? So it was like encouraged, I should say. We were an X-Files family, so like
Oh,
we
cool.
watched
Yeah.
stuff growing up. We loved unsolved mysteries, sliders, whatever the shows were that were anything on the fringe of paranormal, right? So being allowed to watch that stuff, talk about that stuff, I think it just kicked off the lifelong interest into the paranormal and things like that. So, as you get older, other things getting, not get in the way, but they take precedent over your life. And where I'm at now, in late 30s, I'm filling my time with interests again that I want to do. And writing, podcasting, paranormal societies, meetup groups. When it was funny, when you're younger and you hear people say, "Oh, you have to have hobbies, you have to have hobbies," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Whatever, I'm just going to drink till I die." And then, and then now you're like, "Man, I have to fill a lot of time in my schedule because I can't just go to bed after work." So this is where all of that stuff came from. You get to be in touch. Plus, as technology moves on, newer gadgets, cooler gadgets. I think it's just amazing the leaps and strides that we have taken as a society. And I often say this on my podcast, and I want to mention it here on your show. Don't you feel like this generation, this space and time that is more conducive to paranormal, people being able to talk about it more freely than maybe it was in the past?
Oh, yeah. I think now, especially with all the disclosure and everything, I think we're more apt to relate to it, and we're not so scared to tell and share about it. Because a lot of times back then we couldn't talk about it. You're like a
No.
Looney Tune, you saw
Yeah.
aliens, you saw a spaceship. Okay, we're gonna call, the guys with the white coats.
Straight jackets and all. But no, you're right, and that's why I asked that was leading me into my meetup group. I joined and then became a co-runner of it after a couple meetups, and and really because this thing has taken off, where people. I underestimated that fact, Jenny. I underestimated how much people want to talk about this stuff now compared to in the past, and that's my own prejudice is coming out. I'm actively involved in the community and have fun and do paranormal investigations, all that kind of stuff. But even I'm like, oh, not everybody wants to hear about that. You know what I mean? So when we started this meetup group, UFOs Over PA, we really need to change the name because we just thought, oh, let's just find a few people who live around the Philadelphia area who might like UFOs, UAPs, and anything paranormal that might come from that. And now we're a group of hundreds, and oftentimes people like have to back out of the meetup group if you join up late because you're just not going to get a chance to talk. People want to join; they want to get on weeklies, Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m., and they want to get on and they want to talk about the stuff that they saw, the stuff that happened to them, the stuff that they can't explain, the stuff that made them feel weird inside is the best way I can put that. And when you have that and you have people openly, I'm not talking about just like kids. For example, we have an older gentleman in his late 70s who he was in the military during actually Project Blue Book, saw a bunch of crazy stuff in the sky, saw, UFOs, had his own experiences. and wanted to come on and talk to us because he said, I've never been able to tell anybody before. My wife's sick of hearing about it, and I just didn't know there was a place like this. So for someone who's been actively told, shut up, like his whole life, you know what I mean? Don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
That's definitely cool.
Yeah. So our group has exploded. We actually made the front page of the Wall Street Journal, which was pretty.
Wow, that's great.
I never expected that to happen, but it's one reporter saw our meetup group, got in touch with us, and said, "Hey, can I sit in during a meeting? I'm writing a story about the walls coming down about paranormal discussions and UFOs and things like that." So we said, "Absolutely." So he just kept his screen on like black and announced who he was, and then he said, "I'm just here to listen." And people were like, "All right, cool." And then they went in to talk about whatever stories they wanted to talk about at that time. Now, like the first 15 minutes, it can be like scripted because the first 15 minutes is, did anyone see that new? And then fill in the blank on whatever it is. That's how it always goes. So that's how we start off the meeting. But then we talk about people's personal beliefs, and we really get into. Now everybody's on the same page. Nobody has ever like came back at anyone or said, "Oh, your story is stupid" or anything like that. But when you get, so we're very nice that way. But people get down to this one core concept, that it always drills down to: do you believe that UFOs are interdimensional, or do you believe they're from another planet? And that like splits everybody right in the middle. And
what's the average? Like, how many people? Is it more people
60,
believe it?
I think it's about 60-40.
Wow.
It's close. It's close to 50-50. I would say 60-40 interplanetary. So from an extraterrestrial. So from another planet. I am not in that realm. I do believe it's interdimensional.
Yeah.
But it's fun to like have a group and get discussions on that, because when you start talking about dimensions, people kind of they may tune out. But if you just give yourself the time to listen to people and how they break it down, and there's people a lot smarter than I am in that group that can break it down much more succinctly than I can. But telling us, hey, just because it's interdimensional doesn't mean they're not different. You know what I mean? They're not us. It's just they're on a different level of existence, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm like torn between the two. Like, I think some of them are interdimensional and some of them are like, out there in the planet, out there in outer space or whatever. I mean, I hear so many different stories. I don't know. It's hard to decide which is which.
Yeah.
With all the portals and people are talking about portals and opening lately, and that would be but where's it coming from? Is it coming from a different, like, what dimension? There's so many different dimensions. It's like which dimension. And then there's the time traveler. Some people think that those are time travelers coming in from all these different portals opening up. And I don't know. What do you think about the portals?
The portals are a fascinating story because, no matter what, and this is the fun about everything, is because you're never going to prove something 100%. I could talk all I want about them being from another planet. All right, what's a portal? Or I talk about all being interdimensional. Okay, well, how do you explain, mysterious phenomenon in outer space? You know what I mean? So like, it's fun. So the portal thing, I think is, I think it's fascinating when you have a certain group that want to say, okay, they can come through this portal from a different dimension and be here. And it's something that they can manipulate and we can't, right? If you believe in just any relative law of dimension, if you're at a higher plane, you can go to a lower plane and back to yours, but you can't go up to a higher plane. So we are essentially handcuffed in 3D. We can't go to 4. We can go to 2. You can see a piece of paper or a drawing, and 1 is the line, but we can't go down. So those ones that can come down to us, theoretically, they need some sort of device to get here, and that's what a portal would be. Now, there's different viewpoints. Are they not man-made, but whatever creature made from over there, here, or do they happen organically? You can make a point either way, but I love to look at the organic way of portals because a lot of the things we can test in paranormal in our, here 3D is through EMFs, right? We have EMF readers and things like that. Well, there's organic EMF that goes on, and you talk about volcanoes. Well, how can that cause that when it's only supposed to be man-made? You know what I mean? Or do they know that we're never going to go inside a volcano, so they can use that freely to come back and forth?
Yeah, we would never go through a volcano, get
No,
burned alive.
no, we're not signing up for that Airbnb.
No, no, not at all. Yeah, so do you now, I don't know if you follow Stan Gordon at all. He's from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area,
Mhm.
and he talks about the Chestnut Ridge being a real hot spot for
Yeah.
UFOs. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's true? Do you think there's more, are there more sightings in your area of Pennsylvania? Like, you're from Philadelphia, you said?
Yes. So no, about mine, not at all.
'Cause the
Um,
city, there's not too
yeah,
much, but, like, to Chestnut Ridge, we're, like, more like there's the Appalachians, there's all these different mountains, and
yes.
it's, like, more wooded.
Yeah. So, Stan Gordon and that area, Chestnut Ridge, is very, very famous, especially dating back to Pennsylvania's Roswell or Kecksburg, right?
Kecksburg.
Yeah. So, when we take that aspect of it, um, is it I don't know, it's a chicken and the egg scenario with me. Like, was it because Kecksburg happened and now or was it drawn there because it was already
Mhm.
a hot spot? Uh, Nature provides its own um, source energy, however you want to put it, provides its own aura that's an attractant to things.
Mhm.
Uh, Western PA and then West Virginia, we're all over in that area. You have a ton of sightings of not just UFOs, but also in the cryptid realm, and things like that. And many say it's because there's a lot of cave systems and dwellings like that.
Mhm.
Or
Underground
yeah,
tunnels.
underground tunnels, things of that nature. Or if you want to go one step further, that just means the inner of the earth is pushed up further, closer to the surface than others, right? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If you have a mountain, that's a lot of area pushed up high that should be deep underground. So I can't really speculate on that portion of it, but with Stan Gordon and Chestnut Ridge, we see, and I am a member of MUFON, so
Mhm.
I do see their database and I do see where reports come in. And if you were to do a heat map, if you started, it's crazy how it works out. If you start like Philadelphia and then work your way west to Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
yeah, you can see it getting hotter and hotter as it gets into the more less populated areas. Now that's, to me, that makes sense because at night when you're not going to see any light there. And if I'm visiting a foreign planet, if I'm visiting another area where I need to safely get to,
Mhm.
I'm going to pick an area that's empty, right? I absolutely believe all of that can happen and does happen over there. And plus, the Great Lakes are a main source of UFO activity as well. They seem to like our water. They seem I'm
Yeah,
a
they seem
big
like they're more
sorry, go
prone to water, and that's not only our, like, UFOs or any kind of sighting, but a lot of missing people too.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
near the water source.
Yep. Could it be related? I mean, I'm not an expert, but where you have a lot of sightings, you also have missing persons. And
Yeah.
we did an episode on the missing 411 from David Paulides and those stories there to follow up and really, like, let's go behind the movie type of thing. Let's follow up deeper into these people.
Mhm.
And he did, say what you want about the man, people love him or hate him, whatever, but those stories were really researched and they were really in depth, and we weren't really finding anything that's, oh, he left this part out where the body was found later and it was this. No, you know what I mean? Like, these people went missing.
Mhm.
There's unexplained events that happen every day to a lot of people on this planet, and the water phenomenon has to do with, one, a substance that we suck at. Humans and water, we're bad at it. We can't swim, we can't hold our breath, we can't go deep. So if you were an advanced civilization and we are just a dumb puppy dog bumping into things, being loud, all that kind of stuff, and you're the smart cat, aren't you going to jump to that perch? Aren't you going to go to some place where we can't get to?
Yeah.
Well, we can't get to the water. We can't get very far under the surface. Even our most equipped machines. We had I hate to say it, but we had a guy who thought he could bring people down to the Titanic with a joystick controller. I mean,
Yes, yeah, that's ridiculous.
so we're not very good in the water. I can absolutely see that these creatures, these interdimensional beings would love that. You know what I mean? Because it's an area they can be in peace on our planet.
Yeah. What kind of evidence can you share that as maybe you found during your research with the group, or did you find any evidence of anything, any video? Did anybody share any video or anything like that?
Oh yeah, we have a lot of video that people share, and before MUFON took down their library to update it, we would just be looking at last week's reports, and I would share my screen on like a Teams call, and we would look at a video and be like, what does this one look like? Oh, look at how this, and then we would also try to debunk it ourselves, because there's a lot of people that give a bad name to our group, our population, that the people that enjoy this stuff. So we almost have to be more critical than the critics, right? So we need to be proactive in saying, oh no, I don't believe that one is. But for us, this one gentleman got on, and I wish I had the picture now, but this one gentleman got on, and he was like, I took this picture of these lights in the sky when I was in oh man, I'm sorry, it was like St. Thomas or something. It was in the Caribbean, and he was on a honeymoon. And he said, I saved this. He was a Polaroid, or not Polaroid, but it was a regular picture. He saved it for many, many years, and he showed us it. And man, like, this guy, there was no way he could have done any digital editing. First of all, like, you're talking to this guy, it's not, the picture isn't like new, so you can tell he's been keeping it. You know what I mean? It's been in like folders and things like that. But the lights on it, he was thinking maybe there was some reasonable explanation for it. We were taking a look at everything. We got the image, we showed him how, with IT, we can digitally enhance it. We can do all that. We couldn't find anything to suggest that was faked or anything of the sort, that in the sky, these lights could be something else. He thought maybe there was like some kind of reflection, so we're going through the whole evidence, based, detection that we're trying to show him. No, this isn't this because that. No, this, we could not prove that picture, incorrect. And for me, giving that answer to him and seeing this older man like light up and be, really happy was it for me. So to bring it full circle to your point, I don't know if there's going to be a great piece of evidence that I can show for me to you, or the fact that everybody has their own evidence. And when you can prove, we're not proving it's real, we're just proving it's not fake, and see them light up. That's what really does it for us. Now, in terms of other experiences, being a part of Paranormal Society, I have a ton. I've seen full body apparitions. I've seen half body apparitions, which are terrifying too. But we disembodied voices. I personally, and I'll tell you this.
You've heard some really creepy stuff then.
Yeah. I've heard. I've seen.
Share with me.
Absolutely. So we're in one investigation, and this is Laurel Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia. So huge cemetery, more of like a popular cemetery, which means like the people buried there are like important, or they have a story behind them. You have people from like the Titanic, and then you have like movie characters, things like that. And I say movie characters, not actors, because they are fictional characters that they dig a grave for and put a grave there. I don't know, but it's been in many movies. So we were going around, and as a part of our Paranormal Society, we are the tour guides for whenever they have an event. So they get about 30, 40 people, bring us in, and we split them up into groups, and we walk around the cemetery and use our devices and just like, have fun. So what we tell everybody is, if you see something, say something, because if something if you see something and you don't say anything, you could take somebody else's chance who was like,
Yeah.
did I see it? Oh, no one else did because no one said anything. So that's why we say it. We're walking. We get up to an area with like 12, 15-foot high, like, mausoleums and, angels and all that kind of good stuff. We're walking. We're trying to talk to the group behind us and keep going. And out of like, it was like not the periphery, but it was close to it. I saw like somebody, and I turned, and I saw two. They were dressed like a soldier in like the Revolutionary War. Took a few steps to me, only the waist and pants down, turn and walk right away. And it was only legs. It was no torso, no stomach. It was legs down, walk towards me and turn and ran away. And I stopped, and I heard the other guy in my paranormal society next to me said, "You saw that, didn't you?"
Oh.
And I turned, and he said, "Before I say it, what did you see?" And I said, "A pair of legs taking about 3 steps towards me and then turning and walking right away." He said, "That's exactly what I saw." We
Where
turned
was
around.
this at?
This was Laurel Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia.
Okay, that wasn't anywhere by Gettysburg.
Oh, no. Gettysburg
Okay.
would be about 2.5 hours.
Okay. So I was wondering, it's a soldier you saw.
Well, it could have been Revolutionary. Philadelphia is a big battleground in the
Yeah.
Revolutionary War.
Okay.
So we turned around and we said, "Did anybody see anything just now?" And 2 people raised their hand, and the one said, "I saw 2 pair of legs coming and walking away from us, and it was only legs." And the other person said, "I saw that too."
Yeah, if more than one person saw it, that's pretty cool.
That is, yeah. And I said, we were joking around. We're like, "Well, you guys, it's only downhill from here. You hit the jackpot." Like, to us, an apparition is the, that you want to see. So, they were enthusiastic. They loved it. They had a great time after that. Everybody was keeping their eyes peeled. But it's something that when you take somebody through it for the first time and they see something they can't explain and they're scared, but you see like an excited smile,
Yeah.
that does it for me too. Like holding people's hand through a paranormal experience.
To see an apparition in person, that I don't know how calm I would be. So
Well, most of the time it's within 3 seconds.
3
And
seconds. Is that how long it was? Wasn't very long.
yeah, it's not going to be very long, and you might not even think about it until after it's already done.
Until you see it.
Till you see, yeah. So you see it, and you're like, huh, and then you maybe double take and it's gone, or you double take and it's still there and fades away, like mystifies or whatever. But most of the time you're too in shock to feel anything. First of all,
Most
just how it
definitely. That's your most, yeah. I've heard things, felt things, but I never really seen anything. So I don't know if I
Okay.
want to see anything.
Well, I
Mm.
mean, yeah, if I think you need to open yourself up to that. So if you don't want to, that's, your preference. You're making it known to whichever entity, "I don't want to see you." And a lot of them respect that. Low vibrational energy spirits, or the dead, if you want to call it that for lack of a better word, here are souls that have passed that have not gone into the light.
Mhm.
That's the theory I believe in terms of why are ghosts here. It doesn't disprove afterlife. It doesn't disprove heaven or hell or whatever you want to believe in. But if you do not choose to go into the light, you are stuck here
Oh yeah, you're stuck here, all right. I mean,
with
I
me.
don't, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's like some of the stuff that you see or hear, is it really it's the deceased or is it something else? You get into
Mm,
that fine line. Is it
yeah,
there's so much evil out there right now. You don't know
yeah.
what's good and what's bad. So would you say that was one of your most memorable experiences or unforgettable ones, or do you have any other that stuck out more so in your lifetime?
Well, that one's definitely in terms of like the scale of seeing everything. That one is definitely the highest. But I also have more mischievous. I don't think I've ever had an evil one, but more mischievous ones have happened to me. I have a lot of experience with like doppelganger or mimic
Oh,
entity.
okay.
The somebody calling in a voice, family
Oh, yeah,
member, relation, and you go out and they're like, I didn't call you, or they're not even home. That's a scary
that's
one.
creepy.
That is. I've walked past people at work, where I work. It's probably it's a little under 70,000 square foot, so it's a bigger place, right? So you walk past, and I like walk past somebody in the hallway, and then I'll get back to where I am, and they're there sitting at their desk.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
that's weird.
yeah. I mean, we live or I work in a long-term skill care facility, so death is unfortunately a part of the healthcare industry. So who's this, even though it's a coworker and not a resident,
Mhm.
there could be spirits playing tricks in that. That has happened multiple times to me, where I thought I walked past somebody to get back, and they're somewhere else, and there's no way, you know what I mean, they could have gotten to that point without well, without being walking in the same direction I'm going and not passing me, but walking that way. My so that one I have crazy. That one actually gives me a little bit of the chills. A lot of the stuff you get numb to after seeing it for a certain time, but that one is chilling because you know I understand that not a lot of everything can be explained, but with that one, it's what is it trying to do other than trick me? There is nothing else.
Yeah.
I've had many experiences with sleep paralysis.
Oh,
That's terrifying in and of
yes, it
itself.
is true. That we had 3 shows on that in the last 3 years, and I had a psychologist, Brian Sharpless, on twice, and we get into these really, deep conversations because 'cause I've had sleep paralysis since I was a
Okay.
kid. My family had it, my sons have it. It's just kinda weird, and then most of the people that I had on the show had it, especially the
Yeah.
ones who were abducted.
Mhm.
So he was trying to tell me it's just something in your brain that happens when you're falling asleep, it's like a stage of sleep, but how can that be that we all have the same experience? And it's so, like, it looks like the Greys. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, does you have that where you see people when you have sleep paralysis?
No. So,
So you don't have that you see somebody in your room. Well, you're
no.
lucky.
Yeah, no, yeah, I guess that is a lucky one because I can't imagine what
Oh,
you're.
it's terrifying.
But no, like every one that I've had has happened during a stage where my eyes are physically closed. So when the paralysis stays in when you're closed, I can't even open my eyes, and despite trying, but I'll feel the indent of something like pressing on the bed, or a breath on me, or low guttural growl type
Whoa.
things in your ear over your head.
Yeah,
And
there's something's it's like, God forbid if you opened your eyes. So maybe if you would open your eyes, you would be able to see it because it's like it looks like a gray standing above your like at your foot of your bed. In my
a gray,
case, it was like we pulled the sheets off me, my covers, and it was like taunting me. And then I felt like my whole body raised off and I was up in the air. My bed was
I
up in
felt
the
that
air. What's that?
I have felt that one, the raising up off of
Yeah, it
the
feels like you're raising
um yeah,
no,
I
you
don't know if
know
it was a very lucid dream or it was sleep paralysis, but I had one instance that my eyes opened and I can't explain it, but my body, like my head was on the pillow, but my body was straight up.
oh, that's kinda creepy too.
Yeah.
That's like a
So
totally out of body experience.
yeah. And now I have never dabbled in that realm of astral projection or anything like that.
No, I would not do that. My kids did that. They did it all the time. I said, "Why would you wanna do that?" My
Yeah.
biggest fear is that you're stuck and you can't come back down, and you're in this
Well, I had a
weird
guest on my podcast who talked about that, and she said she stopped taking people and like because you have to be trained. Nobody's going to just do it. You know what I mean? You have to work at it. And she said she stopped because so many people don't want to come back to their body because they're happier outside.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and
don't
that's
know.
awful. And also, not many people know how to protect themselves because you are absolutely unguarded when you are out. It's just your consciousness floating, and anything could attack you, attach to you, what
Yeah.
have you.
Some
So, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't mess with that. And if people can and they're great, good for them. But I'm not. I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. I mean, my luck, I won't come back in my body. I mean, I had like night terrors when I was a kid, and then I have panic attacks now as an adult. Like as soon as I start falling asleep, I get like a panic attack, and my heart starts I'll wake up like, like you get that you wake up like really quick, and my heart it starts beating really fast, and then I got total way haul. It won't stop. And my legs go numb, and so I went to the hospital a couple times because I didn't know what was wrong with me.
Yeah,
And they told me what was in the ambulance one time. It sounds like you're having a night panic attack, sleep panic attack. I said, well, then how do you stop that? You're sleeping and you wake up with a
yeah.
panic attack. So
There's
it's
nothing you can do with that.
no, you can't stop
Yeah.
it. So what do you do? Just go through the motions of it, I guess. I mean,
When you're
it's
sleeping, you have
terrifying.
to breathe, ground yourself, all that kind of stuff. But
Well, I'm going to start to do that because I slept with a rosary beads for a while because it was so bad.
um,
Yeah.
so let me. It sounds like you've had some sleep trauma in your past. Have
Oh
you
yeah.
had any? Yeah. So would you ever consider maybe hypnosis?
I would love to. I don't know anybody that does that. That's the
There's
thing. I even asked the psychologist, and she says, "Well, I don't do sleep regression or whatever." I said, "Well, how are you supposed to find anybody?"
well, anybody listening, please get in touch with Jenny because I think that would be a wonderful episode you should film. Is you
Oh gosh, I'm
yeah.
taken to a different planet.
Well,
My
I told
life.
I put it out there to my listener base. If anybody does past life regression, I will do that on camera.
Yeah, I would do it if I could, if they know how to do it.
Yeah, and then
I
you end up with
haven't
a chicken or
so
something.
far I haven't had any guests. I mean, I've been on since right when the pandemic, so 2019. So it's
Yeah.
going on 4 years. And I haven't had any psychologists that do, only Brian Sharpless. He doesn't do that. I mean, he's in Pennsylvania. I think he's probably out where you are, if I'm not
Where in
mistaken.
PA?
Shoot. I know he works. Well, maybe it's more like University of Pittsburgh. I'm not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Where is that,
Or
Alan? Where is
Philadelphia.
that? Up-
Penn is Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's probably out your way.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm 25 minutes outside of the city.
Now, the show is on FM 10 in New Orleans and Mississippi. But I'm in Pittsburgh,
Okay.
the suburbs of Pittsburgh. So it's weird. I can't tell you. I guess it all started when the pandemic and I never left. So one good thing about it. Yeah, so there's all kind of goofy stuff out this way. I mean, there's a woman in Murraysville, Pennsylvania, and Allison Cruz. And if you go to YouTube, you can see all her stuff because she has some serious equipment that she's filmed so many things in the sky that MUFON blew off, which I don't understand why they blew off. Because I seen them. They look like they look like helicopters, and then all of a sudden they morphed into something else. And they go down by it was an abandoned coal mine where these homes are like scattered, like farm homes.
Yeah.
And they would go above that. And I said, well, maybe they're trying to get something from the coal. Maybe there's something with the coal that they're using that they need. I don't know. And but MUFON
Yeah.
blew it off.
I can't believe they did that.
Blew it
Because
off.
like it's supposed to be ideally a place where anybody can,
Yeah.
report a UFO to. And to me, it's not their job to decipher who's,
Yeah, that's what I couldn't understand. It's like why I used to be a MUFON investigator and then I left because I didn't like some of the stuff that was going on, and I left.
Oh,
But, yeah, I was a
yeah.
field investigator, and I wrote, I got involved in it because I wrote a story because my son, when he was a little boy, like 6 years old, he woke up in the middle of the night terrified. And he
Mhm.
comes running in my room and he was broken out in a cold sweat. He said a light came in through his window. They tried to take him, this
Wow.
bright light, and he would not go to sleep in his room anymore. He still doesn't like that room. He's a grown man now, and I got into because we would sit outside having a bonfire, just talking about it, like making up stories. And I decided, oh, I'm going to join MUFON. But then I started to write a book
Mhm.
from the sky about you know extraterrestrials, and so I started writing, and I got so involved in it, and that's when I got involved with MUFON. And I sold my books there at conferences. I mean, it was cool. But they really never treated me very well, so don't
Mm.
I don't I'm not a big, what do you wanna call it, follower of
Yeah.
MUFON, but
No.
I have MUFON field investigators on the show all the time, directors, but I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way. But, yeah, I'm like, that's how I got involved in all the paranormal, and of course, the X-Files like you. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a whole family, we watched the X-Files, and we
Excellent.
were yeah, and we saw where I lived in like a suburbs, and it was all farm, like a rural, and it was like more farmland, and there
Yeah.
was no developments, and we saw some really strange stuff in the sky. And that's how I
Yeah.
got into that. But that's how I got into the paranormal, and I write about it and stuff. It's just sort of like you. So your family, you were into X-Files. So what made you decide to start the group? Was there something that happened to you? Or did you see anything, or you just felt like it was a hobby you
No,
wanted
it
to
it
do?
was a hobby. It was, like I wanted to, um, I guess, get back into, that area of my life and that interest,
Mhm.
Um, getting putting out a group there, and technology, right? So, who heard of, like virtual meetings pre-pandemic? It was for work and that was it, right? So,
Yeah.
what we're doing now hasn't been around for more than 10 years, so, with that, and a lot of people, one thing that I've found is everybody's story that they're willing to share is interesting to me. It is, and it could just be me, it could just be sap, whatever you want to call it. But when they bring up their story and they bring up, how it affected them, and everybody that I've talked to has something interesting about their story that makes it unique to them.
Mhm.
And, you know, are all of them true? Maybe, maybe not. But are all of them entertaining to me? Absolutely. So I will listen to whatever story you have to tell, and I will make sure you have an area to tell it. And that's what basically prompted this meetup group, prompted us to start and keep going and grow it. Is, if you put a Facebook live out without, and you're just going live and you're talking about UFOs and aliens and things like that, people are going to look at you a certain way. But when you're behind a meetup group, you know what I mean? You're behind a
Mhm.
login wall where you're with your own brethren, right? um, you're more likely to tell that story, and you're more likely to get into the details and how it affects people, because there's some people that were really traumatized by some of their experiences that they had. It really messed them up, hurt them, however you want to call it, where they needed to get it out. They needed to talk about it. And, many stories I've heard from different people are, oh, that, they'll end it with, and that messed me up for a long time. And that's what I want to get into is like, I say, hey, well, how did it mess you up? I couldn't sleep. I really couldn't talk to anybody about it. When I did, I was ridiculed. So I just forgot about it and didn't want to pay any attention to it. And that's well and good when I'm at my job or I'm with friends or I'm with my, husband or wife. But when we all have alone time in our lives. We all have to face that alone time at some point, and it just eats at them that they're like, "What was it? What was it? How did that happen?" And it really started to build a trauma in them
Mhm.
that talking about it, if nothing else, got that out of them. You know what I mean? And they're able to talk about it. And if it messes them up and they're still actively haunted, no pun intended, by it, they can come every Thursday from 6 to 7, hop on, talk about it, and there'll be people to listen, to have suggestions, and to just be an ear to them. You know, we that's the kind of group that we have. If anybody's like a troll or anything like that, we kick them right
Mhm.
out. We don't have to deal with. None of us have to deal with any of that. And we want everybody to have their voice heard and their feelings shared. Um, because like I said, with the military man that I first started talking about, um, he was so used to people saying, "Don't talk about it, don't talk about it, don't talk about that." And here he is late on in life, tells his story, and next thing you know, it was the meeting that got him on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. So you never know who's going to be in, and you never know, because when you join that meetup group, when you join it, your title is gone. I'm just Tom, and I'm in there talking about some stuff, and I do probably less of the talking now, because as a host, I really want it to be about the group rather than me just dictating and narrating to everybody. So Mark, my co-host of the podcast, he's also he's a co-creator of the group. We just sit back and play quarterback, keep the discussion going, and that's all we really do. Pick up dead time. It's what you learn as a podcast host.
Yeah. I'm gonna show a TikTok video, and I just want your opinion on it. I don't know if you go on TikTok at all.
Absolutely, let's do it.
But it's really weird, and it's been all over the internet a lot. And I don't know, a lot of people they don't know what it is, but I just wanted to get your what you think it is. So I'm going to turn it on. And this person found this on their door, their bell. Can you see it? I have to bring it in. Sometimes there we go. Okay, I'm going to play it. It's really creepy. But those Ring doorbells, those,
Yeah,
what do you
I have.
call them? Yeah, so this is what they woke up to. And it's kind of creepy. Let me see.
The creature of an unknown origin has been trending on social media, and no one could seem to figure out what this animal is. They can't tell if it's an alien, they can't tell if it's a cat, they can't tell if it's another, hybrid creature. Nobody knows what it is. It's definitely going viral all over the internet, and I wanted to share it with you guys to see if anybody had any clue to what type of animal this may be, because everyone's literally confused. Supposedly the person that captured this on the Ring doorbell camera has remained anonymous. They do not want to be exposed on the internet, but they did share the picture with us, and they're telling us that they believe that it's some sort of alien creature from another planet. Like, share, repost, and follow. What do you guys think? Comment below.
Let me turn it off. Well, what do you think? Pretty creepy, huh?
So yeah, so I've seen that.
You did?
I have seen, not this particular video, but I've seen that picture making its way around social media. First, when I look at this, I look at the deck, right? Beer cans everywhere. I don't know if that's
It's recycling. It looks like a recycling bin.
Is that a recycling bin or laundry hamper?
It looks like a recycling cans, because it's not just. I don't think it's still. I mean, there's a lot of beer, but there looks like there's some Coke cans too in the back.
Yeah. Okay, so if that's a recycling one, right?
Mhm.
If this was hoax, they went to a good length, good detail, because I'm seeing that creature rummaging through things because it's hungry and it's coming up close to where where the food is, where it thinks it's food, but it smells probably beer, soda, whatever that is out in the cans. The first idea, I thought, head, neck, cat with mange. I've seen hairless cats before. They have those weird eyes, the nostrils get. But once it came back out and you saw like the hand, right? You saw where the hand was. it didn't have like the claw like this. You know what I
It
mean? It
didn't
was
look
more
like
of
to me. It doesn't look like a cat.
yeah. So it takes it away from me from the cat once you see the paws. I it's unexplained for sure. I don't have an answer for what that could be terrestrially. Depending on where it is. Mange is a popular answer for animals with fur because obviously, like a dog without fur, a cat without fur looks weird, right? So,
Mhm.
that's a popular answer. However, the features don't really fit in there for those eyes and the nose, and the teeth. It looked the teeth didn't look that sharp, so maybe it doesn't prey on or eat prey. So
Yeah.
it looked like a forager with the claws, right? It looked like something that would be a digger. It would grasp and eat, whatever. So, yeah, it definitely to me didn't look like it belonged on this planet just because there's too many features,
Mhm.
right? There's too many
Mhm.
features that counteract each other. The big eyes facing forward, predator. The teeth flat, not sharp, grinder. You know what I mean? Like for plant. The claws meant for grabbing, you know, touching. It would seem that the animal would be intelligent because it has to have enough smarts to use its appendages in that way. So, no,
Mhm.
I'm absolutely fascinated. Thank you for showing me that because if I was just to give a
Pretty
quick rundown just there, I can't give you an explanation that
Yeah, to me,
it's
it looks like it
extraterrestrial.
could be something because especially because the people don't wanna be known. Um, to me, those hands are creepy. They look like the
Mhm.
they look like ET's hands.
It did, yeah.
And you know what's crazy? Because I always wonder, because you write screenplays, um, oh my god, Steven Spielberg, how do you know that he didn't see something to to be able to make the alien ET look so like it could be like, "This looks like ET." Maybe they do have an alien somewhere that looks sorta like that. Maybe he was called, I don't know. You never know. Because 'cause didn't he do Close Encounter? No, is that Close
Yeah,
Encounters too?
for the third time.
And I don't know if you ever heard of Bashar? He's heavily involved in Hollywood, and he helped make all these movies about aliens and
Mm,
Avatar, and apparently he saw a UFO when he was a young man, and he channels him, and he
right.
works for them, and I wonder, maybe they I don't know, maybe they all work together? I don't know, it's kinda creepy. How do they know all this weird stuff? I don't know.
You're exactly right because, where does an idea come from? It has to come from something we've already wrapped our head around, right?
Mhm.
If you were to if I were to tell you on the spot, "Hey, think of a creature no one's seen before," you're probably gonna think of creatures that are seen before and mush them together, right? You have to
Yeah.
have some sort of something in place to go off of. And what's funny is when you talked about was it Bashar?
Bashar,
Yeah,
yeah.
Bashar, that wouldn't be the first person that I know about that channels or raises their consciousness to a level that they can um, communicate with extraterrestrial beings. That's not the first time I've heard that. Where they become in tune with them. For what now? How I don't know, but the story is that they become in tune with them, raise their consciousness to a level where they can be on the same wavelength as the creature and gain experience. And I've talked to people that said the same thing, where it's not teaching. Like it's not like, all right, Jenny, I'm going to tell you these secrets. It's an interaction where you meld with them, and then when you separate, you know what they know,
Yeah.
type of thing. So if we were to take that and to see and feel that way, um, I've always believed there's more than one ET. I don't think Greys are the only one out there. I do believe there's different species, civilizations, whatever you want to call it. So could it be that this individual is asking them, "Hey, can you show me what another type of UFO or another type of alien creature looks like?" And it does, and then he
Mhm.
takes that and reports it back with whatever image he has in his head, and sketches it out or has somebody sketch it out for him. But no, I completely agree. If whether Spielberg himself or close confidants or people he trusts have seen it, he's
Mhm.
getting that he's getting that knowledge from somewhere else, somewhere
Yeah.
that's not here.
That's what
Um,
I think, and I feel like that's probably it. So let me before we go, let me play this Bashar.
sure.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
ever seen him before, but I'm gonna put him on. And I'm gonna hit play.
Okay.
I think I have to go back because I think I might. Oops. Okay, here we go.
My name is Daryl Anka. I am the channel for an entity known as Bashar. I am also a writer, producer, director. As a young boy, I've always been artistically inclined. I could start drawing as soon as I could pick up a pencil when I was 2 years old. But I had an incident happen that happened at 3 years old that I didn't remember until much later in my life. And I was playing in the living room of my parents' home. And I was, one of those things where kids make a fort with a card table and a blanket. I was underneath it, I was drawing. And what appeared to me in midair was this whirlpool of light just hanging there. Now, as a child, I didn't think anything of it because I didn't know what was normal and what wasn't. But my perception is that there was somebody communicating to me through that, as if it was a window to somewhere else. For me, that became what I would consider to be the inciting incident that indicated that there was some kind of an agreement here that was going to unfold at some point in my life that had to do with the channeling. But it didn't really get triggered until 1973. In 1973, I was in my early 20s when on 2 occasions in broad daylight, a week apart, I had 2 very close UFO sightings with friends with me both times. The first time was only about 125 feet away. The second time was only about 60 or 70 feet away. Some kind of an advanced technological ship. No sound, being able to move in unusual ways. You don't think much of it until you actually see something yourself. And then your whole world turns upside down because those things weren't supposed to really exist. But seeing something like that solidly made me realize that things were much different than we were being told. So I wanted to find out more about it. I started doing the research, finding any book I could on UFO sightings. And at that time in 1973, the metaphysical section in bookstores wasn't very big. You could probably find everything on one shelf. There was UFO stuff, there was psychic stuff, there was channeling stuff. Mostly the Seth material at that time was becoming pretty popular. So I read all of that and I started just kind of digesting all of this stuff and realizing that there was sort of a whole other world going on here. 10 years after the sighting, I was introduced to a channel who was conducting seminars at the time. I went into the class not because I thought I wanted to be a channel in any way, shape, or form, but I was curious as to how channeling could be taught, because I just sort of assumed it was something that just sort of happened to you out of the blue. But I wanted to further my research. So I went into the class, and it was a series of different guided meditations. And it wasn't like you were necessarily expected to have to channel with an entity, but it was about getting in touch with your creative side, your own higher mind, however you wanted to use the meditations. But about halfway through the course, we were in a particular guided meditation being given by the entity through the channel. Something happened that I can only describe as a kind of an instant telepathic contact from Bashar. It was like somebody just sort of shoved this information in my head in a split second. I instantly remembered making an agreement before this life to do this with him. I understood the UFO had been shown to me by him to get me to start doing the research that I needed to do. So when it came time to fulfill.
So that's his. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy. I love that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that he's helped write all these UFO movies because he channels this guy. So Steven Spielberg, I think probably he had some kind of connection with, because that creature we saw on TikTok, it looked kind of creepy like E.T.
It looked like a mini version or E.T.'s little nephew.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but I really enjoyed having you on the show. We'll have to have you back. Don't go
Absolutely.
nowhere after because I want to talk to you real quick. But everybody out there, I want to, thank you for joining us. I know some people just started to join us now, and we were supposed to be on was it Pittsburgh Paranormal, and I don't think we got on there until late. So I don't know what happened with the stream. But just remember, this is broadcasted, it's going to be on SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And replayed on, Facebook and YouTube. If you're just joining us now from the other channels, then you can listen to the whole show. But Tom, thank you again. And where can people learn more about you and your podcast?
Thank you. Yes, Label Paranormal is a podcast that I am Mark Way, host. You can find us on all of your various platforms for listening to podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and into your smart speaker. Say Amazon, play Label Paranormal, and we will pop up.
Great. But next week, I'm not really sure who we have on, but I know it's a good guest, so you have to come back next Tuesday. We're only on Tuesdays anymore, guys. We used to be on Sunday nights, and I gave it up because I'm a busy woman. Okay. Well, thanks again for tuning in to Chasing Prophecy on FM 107.7 in New Orleans and 105.3 in Henderson Point, Mississippi. Have a great night.